So I think most of us can appreciate the moves our new front office made yesterday at the trade deadline. I know not everyone likes the moves, which is totally fine. Everyone has their own perspective and viewpoint on it. Some felt that it was too much for the Bulls' future to give up for a guy who is 30 years old, while others felt the move put the Bulls on a path to contention in the near future. I personally love the move that was made yesterday, not just the trade for Vucevic, but I actually think the other guys the front office brought in are very underrated moves based on the current needs of the team. Now, when the news broke that the Bulls had made a trade for Vucevic, I was honestly shocked and blown away, which I mentioned in my video shortly after the news broke, and I realized the reason this move was so shocking to me was because over the better part of a decade or two, we as Bulls fans have become so accustomed to our front office always making the safe move, the defensive move, the rebuilding move. And we're just so used to always getting the losing end of a deal. We're used to being the Orlando Magic as an example of this recent trade. And it got me thinking, what would GarPax have done at yesterday's trade deadline, knowing what we know of their management style and what we knew of the Bulls leading up to that deadline? And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So guys, before I get into the video, I had mentioned previously that I will be doing a giveaway for this Joakim Noah signed photo to one lucky winner who either predicts the correct score of an upcoming Bulls game, or, since that can be challenging to do, if no one predicts the score correctly to ensure that we have a winner, I will take the point differential from the game, and the commenter on the video of that point differential will win the signed photo. So if the game finishes, say, 110 to 100, that's a 10-point differential, the 10th commenter on this video in chronological order from oldest to newest will win the photo. And I thought, with the new guys on the roster, most of it appears that they will be available for tomorrow's game. What better game than to have the score prediction giveaway for tomorrow's game against the San Antonio Spurs? So if you want to be included in this giveaway, all you have to do is predict the score of the game tomorrow in the format you see here, so it is not left up for interpretation. You do not have to predict the Bulls will win this game. I know this is a Bulls channel, but I will not pass any judgment on you if you predict the Spurs to win the game. Keep in mind, in order for you to receive this signed photo in the event that you do win, I will be needing your mailing address to send it to you. So if you don't feel comfortable giving me your address, that is 100% okay. I totally understand, but then just don't participate in the giveaway. You will have to be comfortable in giving me the address if you want to win it. That's the only way that I'll be able to send it to you. Now, for the game tomorrow, it has been confirmed that none of the new Bulls practiced today. However, all of them were in Chicago and will travel with the team to San Antonio and will go through shoot around for the game tomorrow, with the exception of Daniel Tice, who will join the team on Monday for the game against the Warriors. It has not yet been confirmed whether the new guys will play in Saturday's game, but it is expected they will make their Bulls debut unless there is a setback. I will be sure to keep you guys posted on that, so keep in mind for those updates based on your predictions for tomorrow's game, knowing that Vucevic will likely be in the lineup. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. I realized what got me so excited about yesterday's trade moves more than anything is not that we got Vucevic or the complementary players that the Bulls obtained to go with him, and that we got them for fairly cheap in terms of, you know, what we actually had to give up, but rather I was more excited to see that we have a new front office that means business, a front office that is going to be aggressive in their approach, that wants to win and win now, and a front office that is smart and crafty in their dealings and negotiations with other executives. Guys, we haven't had this, at least in my lifetime in Bulls history, and I've been following the Bulls since the Michael Jordan days. Now, I don't mean to bring up bad memories or nightmares by mentioning GarPax, but I couldn't help but start thinking of scenarios of what the Bulls would have done yesterday at the deadline if GarPax were still running things. Now, to GarPax's credit, I don't like giving them credit for anything, by the way, but they were decent at drafting players. You know, getting Butler late in the first round, Taj Gibson, another late first rounder, drafting Noah, Dang, Rose, even though Rose was a bit more obvious when they had the #1 pick. Maybe not as much from these recent 3 number 7 picks, although you could argue Markkanen was a good selection based on some of the players that went before him. But GarPax were what they were absolutely terrible at, was when it came to negotiating trades and making horrible acquisitions and constructing a roster. I mean, I'll never forget the time when they said they wanted to get younger and more athletic after they traded Rose, they let Noah walk, and then eventually let Gasol walk as well. And then they proceeded to sign a past prime Dwayne Wade and past prime Rajon Rondo to pair with Jimmy Butler, effectively wasting another year of Butler's prime. And of course, when that disaster didn't work out, they hit the reset button and traded Butler, which ultimately got the Bulls Zach Lavine and Lauri Markkanen. Now, based on how things have been going with the Bulls recently in terms of their performance on the court, really since the All-Star break, because they have had a lot of bad games since then, blowing big fourth quarter leads, losing to shorthanded teams without their best players, and even losing to the shorthanded Cavs. It was frustrating to watch as a Bulls fan, and I'm sure it was the case for the front office. And they knew changes needed to be made rather than just waiting for the offseason. Now, I'm sure GarPax would have seen changes needed as well to be made on this team based on everything that was transpiring, right? But my guess is GarPax, because they love just hitting the reset button and always focused on rebuilding for the future by the way of draft picks and young players who haven't fully developed yet, that they likely would have gone in a different direction in how our tourists viewed yesterday's deadline. In my view, they would have traded Zach Lavine and essentially started over. There's no doubt in my mind. They would have taken advantage of the fact that Lavine had become an all-star and would have commanded a lot in a trade. They would have just given up and moved on from Zach. My guess is they likely would have traded him to the Warriors or maybe the Celtics, potentially the Mavericks, teams that are all kind of on the fringe outskirts of the playoffs that are really looking to still win now and at least be somewhat of a contender, or at least a team to contend in the near future. For the Warriors, an example, you know, they're not a contender this year, but knowing that Klay Thompson is coming back next season, they're likely wanting to ensure they are ready to compete and contend to maximize Klay and Steph's final years of their prime. And with this trade, of course, the Bulls would have ended, you know, on the short end of the stick, naturally, because that's what we're used to seeing from that front office. If it was a trade with the Warriors, it probably would have gone, you know, something along the lines of Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, a couple first rounders. If it was the Celtics, well, they always have a ton of draft capital, so they would have, you know, taken some of that. And then, of course, probably Kemba Walker, because GarPax love bringing in former All-Stars who are past their primes just because it'll give the Bulls a little more attention in the media. And then the Mavericks, you know, likely someone like Brunson. They might have been able to get Porzingis, since there has been trade speculation around the league that the Mavs were wanting to move on from him for a period of time. And we all know GarPax love going after injury-prone players, so that naturally would have made sense. You know, this would have signaled another rebuild for the Bulls. So after this trade, they would have likely tried to find a trade partner for the vets, like a second-round pick for Thaddeus Young, because why trade him for a first-rounder when you can trade him for a second-rounder when you're looking to move him at all costs and as quickly as possible? They likely would have waived Satoransky, and then GarPax would have said, well, now we can build around our 3 picks that we tanked for in Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter Jr. and Coby White. And now we have all of these other future draft picks that we can continue to build with for the future. And of course, mind you, GarPax wouldn't have drafted Patrick Williams because they would not have made a risky move like that. They probably would have gone with someone like Deni Avdija, who isn't a bad player, by the way. I think he's actually a pretty nice piece. But Patrick Williams will be a better player than Deni Avdija in the long run. Or they would have drafted someone like Killian Hayes, who has been very underwhelming so far in his short NBA career. If you can't tell by my tone, this is sarcasm you're sensing, and I'm going through these trades that would have gone down yesterday had GarPax still been in the front office, because those are the kind of moves realistically we would have seen from those guys. And yes, us Bulls fans would have been upset and pissed off about it, but we also would have just sort of accepted it and been used to it at this point. But don't worry, that nightmare is over. It is a new day for the Bulls as a franchise with a new competent front office that knows what they're doing and are not afraid to make risky and aggressive moves in order to set up the team for success and ultimately to win. What do you guys think though? What do you think GarPax would have done at yesterday's trade deadline? Let me know in the comments, and also don't forget to leave your score predictions for tomorrow's game in the comments as well on this video and this video only. Normally I am also okay with people leaving their score predictions in the Discord. However, given the commenter and where they stand in the list on the point differential and that determining who might win, I'll need the score predictions to be in this video and this video only for you to qualify for the giveaway. As always guys, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content, sometimes twice a day. Thanks again for tuning in guys as always, and I will catch you in the next one.